This is just as much a short message as possible. A short message for Nikki Jackson. I can't believe that. It's very strange that that video has had 345 views. That 7-hour chat that we had. Yeah, this is still very serious though. 7 hours, that was, possibly 13 hours in total. But yeah, 345 views. And that's only in just a matter of less than a day. So, but yeah, I don't always say how I feel at the time. But this obviously, I need to say this. I still haven't had much sleep. I am still very, very ill. I have been made ill by the corruption and by others around me. And I want to address some things that you said because you know, I mean, I may not agree on everything that you say, and that's okay. But I definitely want to address them because the only way that I could ever make any kind of recovery is to stand up for myself. And these are serious crimes that have been committed against me on so many different levels. And it's no good saying, well, my mother's generation was my mother's generation. No, my mother's generation were a decent generation. Well, my mother and her friends were good, loving people. Let's put it that way. And if our parents who were in their 40s, I mean, my mother, I had an older mother. I don't know how old your mother is, but I had an older mother, and well, generally speaking, can you imagine generations gone by, people in their 40s behaving the way Dan and his friends have from the police abusing powers community? And he's meant to be anti-corruption. And he's actually turned out to be a psychopath. Because from what you've said, he enjoyed talking about killing kittens. That's why I had to stop you there, because I didn't want to hear it. But that just says it all. I tell you something, my mother said she would die for what animals suffer. My mother was a real strong woman. She went up to London to the fox hunting protests. She went to proper ridicule the hunters. And, anyway, I don't want to get emotional about that, but she did things in an unconventional way that sort of goes against the norm that would make an impact. And I too, I take after her. She shouted in church against the appraisal of a headmaster that the whole PTA were complaining about because he was perverted, and us children were complaining about him. And only she was brave enough to stand up and shout against the appraisal. And on the quiet, Oh, she was criticised heavily. Well, do you really think that was an appropriate thing to do? Yes, it was. Absolutely, because our Saviour wants people like that. He doesn't want lukewarm Christians. He wants people to stand up in the church and, go against this hypocrisy. And that's why on the quiet, people were like, oh, you deserve a medal for what you've done. But she got a lot of criticism. That is what is happening to me by these cowards. But not just that. These are crimes. These are crimes against a woman who is already suicidal, who is fighting for her own life and freedom. So, when you said about, I was a little bit, Juliet is the only person who is willing to do anything for me and come down to the food bank to say to Darren's friend about the recording, when I said my life is in danger. And, you were trying to find a way to excuse that. Like when Steve Churchill, when I rang the food bank and I said my life is in danger, and he said, I'm praying for you. And then I played him a recording of the criminal on a tag threatening to beat me senseless. And he said, no, your life is not in danger, Bryony. And I think you're rude. And I said what Juliet said. I said, why did you say to Darren, my partner, that I was playing him? And he didn't deny it. And he hung up on me and I was in tears. And he said, we're going round in circles. And he hung up on me, which is something that Dan has mocked me with in a text. We're going round in circles. Dan's harassment and Angela's harassment are serious crimes. And the thing is, Nikki, if you're friends with these people and you've seen them for what they are, and you've had harassment from them, and you've got friends in the police force, and you know that I'm vulnerable, then you need to take action. Because I've commented under your videos a few months ago, and I said they're still harassing me. Are you going to tell your family members, your siblings who work in the police, what they're doing to me? Because call a spade a spade. And there are other things I want to address that you said to me that caused me concern. But I don't always say things at the time because I'm not well. It's a miracle that I've managed to survive one of the things that I have. This is why I reached out to Dan. This is why he passed me to Tina Chave, who falsely offered me help. And I was bullied and threatened in emails in a hotel I self-funded for 9 months for my safety. So, yeah, I did wonder what you meant, why you would think that it's okay for Steve Churchill, Darren's friend at the food bank, to say what he said, because there were people who were watching me, i.e. Dan's minions, and they were contacting people in this town, in the local community, and causing me trouble. And one of them was Dan had emailed me about Scott Andrew Horn to say he had contacted my local MP office on my behalf. And he's friends with this very woman who is harassing me at all hours, which I've recorded. And I've recorded 101 call handlers terminating my calls. And this Scott Andrew Horn, I hear what you're saying. They're a nasty bunch and that's just the way they are. But the truth of the matter is he was reported to the police by my MP office and the House of Commons. Lucy at my local MP office, I live streamed that phone call in the hotel, I was self-funding for my safety. I live streamed my phone call to the food bank in the hotel. I was self-funding for my safety. People were looking at my live streams and deciding that because they've got nothing in their own lives, because they're absolute cowards, nothing going on in their lives, that they would try and sabotage or just, I don't know, will do whatever they're doing. But there's something more serious that I need to address that you said to me, something far more serious. Far more serious. Because you have siblings who are police officers in the police force. You know what Dan is doing. You know what him and his minions harassing me. Okay, so they falsely offered me help and they're a bunch of turds. Fair enough. But they're committing crimes, harassing me at all hours and putting up videos that will further endanger. It's no good saying YouTube won't. This is why I'm a little bit confused about you, Nikki, because we spent 7 hours on the phone. I was so angry. I said, who is this? Who is this texting me? So you'd obviously got my number. I can't remember. Did you say you got my number from that video that Dan made of me? The one that me and Juliet have been reporting. Juliet's got cancer. And all I get is these trolls saying, we all know she got cancer. No, 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 no. This lady is a member of the public who practically saved my life when she did. And I'm sick to death of people thinking they can do and say whatever they like to me. Because if you want to affirm me, if you actually want to help me, the person who told me about Dan's police abusing powers video of me is a security guard who gave me his phone number, and you were with me on this. He said, I'll report him to the, tell me where, if I could find out where he lives, I'll report him. And then he retracted it. He said, I've had to think about it. And actually, I don't want to get involved because I don't want to be targeted. So he's gone all manly, and I'll sort, I'm angry that they're targeting a vulnerable woman I don't want to get involved. Oh, I'm not afraid of anything. And this is a 64-year-old security guard. So, so it's not just him. This applies to everyone. And obviously, with all due respect, yourself, I need to know where I stand with people, because I go away and I question some of the things that have been said to me. And I'm not taking things out of context. I'm going to address exactly what you said to me. So, yeah, we've established that you said that Dan is basically a psychopath who also likes killing kittens. Yeah. Well, he had a jokey conversation about it with his psychopath friends on the Police Abusing Powers channel. Right, okay. Well, strike one. But because I really don't know what I'm dealing with here. You look at the channel, you see a man who's selling merchandise who looks like he's anti-corrupt police corruption. And I really have had all of it. So, yeah. And I'm going to address what you said about me ending up in a psychiatric unit where I might end up locked up. Because there are people who watch my YouTube videos. With this tyranny and with the danger, with everyone losing their freedoms, and everyone is responsible for that in the UK. The people are responsible. They've consented to their freedoms and rights being taken. The people of the UK have allowed this. And I went to a conference where one of the speakers said over the microphone that basically life will not be worth living if we allow what's going to happen, because there was so many talks going on over that weekend. And I can tell you now, it will be a dystopian nightmare, as that man said, but it already is. So I need you to take this seriously. You can't say, oh, no, but this is the way they are. Oh, because I don't do that bullshit. I might be a vulnerable woman. And yes, he's got an ego. Well, you've got to take that ego down. Because if you're not afraid of him, they say strength in numbers. They're doing this to someone who is documenting their own personal experiences of corruption and tyranny that's still going on. So it's not really going to help when you say something like, this thing about me being, I know what you mean when you said you're trying to help, when you said this thing about me being a victim of a global Masonic network operating in Kent and Sussex. That was just what someone else said, who was married to a Freemason who may or may not be right themselves in the head. Your guess is as good as mine. I'm just saying, basing everything that's happened to me, because everything that's happened to me is demented and insane. And there ain't going to be anyone that's ever going to convince me that what has been done to me is okay. Because they thought that because I suffer with my mental health, that I might be a little bit cuckoo, and a bit cuckoo as in, oh, I'll just do as they say. So, and by the way, the thumbs up thing, not that this is really that relevant, but boots on the ground stuff. My live streams are tampered with because there'll often be a message that comes up. And also, happened just now, by the way, there's a thing, the thumbs up and the thumbs down button. They play about with that. They'll give me, let's say they'll give me about 5 thumbs up, and then it will go back down to 3. Then it might go up to 5, then 6. Then it might go back all the way down to 3 or 2. So there's something not right going on there. Just saying. Like, for example, just now I had a thumbs up and now it's disappeared. So why would you do that? Why would you do that? So there could be sock puppet accounts. There could be, as I said, one account with 7 other sock puppet accounts. So that could be, it will look like 9 people are watching me, but it's actually one person with 8 sock puppet accounts who are controlling the thumbs up and the thumbs down thing. So I don't know, it's just a guess. But that's what I noticed. There's always a thumbs up and a thumbs down thing going on. The number of thumbs up and the thumbs down goes up and down. It's demented. Everything's demented. But anyway, getting back to what is really, really important in this message to you, because the thing is, Nikki, I don't always say how I feel. And there are things that you said that made me angry, but I'm respecting your opinion, but I need to address it, because that's the people pleaser thing going on. So basically, what you said to me, like, I think it's wonderful that your niece has managed to get into the Priory. Well, that's if it's a good experience. I've heard someone else that went into the Priory where the celebrities go, And it was a very sort of, elite controlled sort of, is there any surprise? All these MK Ultra victims, who is it? Kate Moss, who went to the Priory. But nothing surprises me. There's a lady I like watching and listening to, and on YouTube, and she went there, and they said that she would be in there for a long time because of her Marxist views. So whatever. But anyway, hoping that your niece obviously has a positive experience, and that it's, whether she was to pay 173 grand or to get in there for free, as she is, either way, let's just hope and pray she has a positive experience. But can I just say, and I don't mean this in a bitter way, I don't want you to take what I'm saying out of context here, but when you said to me, you said to me several times, you can't, I don't want to take this out of context, but you said to me once, at least twice, you said to me, you're not a child with your mother. When I said about something's got to give, which is a simple fact. Something's got to give. With everything that I've been through and everything I've survived, which is a miracle for me, I think for anyone, something's got to give. And it's not, because the abuse and the corruption is still continuing. Hence the thing with PC McCarthy, thug. So something's got to give. And when I said that to you, you were subtly criticizing me, because you were saying, you said twice you said, well, you're not a child with a mother, you've got to. And I thought, I don't know why you're saying that to me, because something's got to give. So, if you didn't get the help you needed, or if your niece didn't get the help she needed, and you were complaining to someone because you were struggling so much with everything that you've been through, the things I've been through, people wouldn't survive 2 minutes in my shoes. Sleeping rough, attacked by the police, attacked by convicted criminals in my home. The people from police abusing powers, from the way you've described them, they sound exactly like the criminals in my council accommodation, to be perfectly honest with you, which is more of a concern for me, because they've gone out of their way, and you know this, they are committing crimes against me. And this is what is making me angry, because you can't subtly say to me in a passive, and I don't mean this rudely to you, but I've got to stand up for myself here. I'm on my own. I don't have a boyfriend or a partner standing by me. I don't have any parents. I told you what was done to me on Beachy Head when I found out my father's been dead for over a year. I was given a good old beating, or excessive force, leaving me my arms and hands in pain. And then I'm on the phone to Juliet, feeling terrible because she should be resting with the cancer she's going through. And I'm being attacked by you lot, these trolls, people I don't even know, harassing me at all hours, harassing me even while I was on the phone to you, because these text messages were coming through. I've been through all of this on my own, and I've reached out for help, and I've been incredibly calm. And Dan, when he made out he was a nice guy, he said, "You're an incredibly brave person." I rang into his channel. I didn't just like with Ray, the police whistleblower, I didn't go off on one. I didn't say, oh, this and this was happened to me. I was initially very nervous because when you're reaching out, crying out for help, or just ringing someone up and saying, hi, my name is Bryony, blah, 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 it takes guts. Now it's gone from that to committing crimes against me. And the people he has emailed, the people that Dan from Police Abusing Powers emailed me about and texted me about, saying they were helping me, were reported to the police for nasty phone calls. And now I'm getting it from Dan and his minions. Well, so to speak. When I say Dan, I mean the video that he made of me, because he's breached my disclaimer. For one thing, I've had my Facebook images stolen because as a result of Dan's bullying, you know, you can make, the thing is, Nikki, you can make a joke about this, but you can get on with your life. But you're telling me I've got to basically I know you haven't said this, but to pull myself together. You know, you're saying twice you said something about you're not a child going to its mother. Well, hang on a minute. Do you see where I'm going with this? It's very subtle criticism and it has made me angry. I'm okay with you saying that my partner sounds like a mummy's boy, because obviously, you know, he's let me down. Even though I'm a mummy's girl, I lost my soulmate, my late mother, and I'm told to basically get over my mother's death. I just hope that you understand where I'm coming from. I'm trying to say this in a, what's the word you used? Was it diplomatic? Something has got to give. I can't even read the text messages from my sisters because of what they were fighting with each other over my mother's death. And I had domestic violence and no one else to turn to. And that creep knew that. When you're with someone who's a lot older than you, older than my sisters, who are a lot older than me, and you're easy to just throw out the door. And that's what he did. He turned violent almost immediately after my mother's funeral, name calling, throwing me out of the door. And my mother's best friend, and I want to know if what's happened to her, because I don't know what's happened to her. Apparently she's got cancer, but my godmother's been horrible, so I don't know. Don't say that I'm all over the place and that I could end up sectioned and locked up when I've been through all of these things and your friends or ex-friends are committing crimes against me and I don't know them. And they've falsely offered me professional help in a hotel I self-funded for 9 months for my safety because actual protected criminals were attacking me. I need to know where I stand with people. I've admitted I'm extremely vulnerable on a platform that can be seen worldwide, which is why this creep, this very disturbed young man from North America has made videos of me. And I've noticed that Angela, your ex-friend from this police abusing powers community, encouraged this nobody over 10,000 miles away. He's made very disgusting videos and taken images of me and my partner from my Facebook He's not only breached my disclaimer, but you've got to decide which fence are you on, which side of the fence are you on, Nikki? Because you can't what's 1 minute say one thing and you got to say this is not acceptable. These are crimes. And YouTube, you said YouTube doesn't tend to take cyberbullying seriously. It is serious because YouTube, throughout all my trauma, and the police were getting involved throughout all my suicidal videos. And then you're saying to me in the phone, in our 13-hour conversation, that I could end up sectioned. If I keep going up to Beachy Head, I could end up, and obviously you didn't, you're only saying what could happen. And I agree with you, it could happen, of course. But I've been pushed to this. I'm a victim of serious corruption. So whether I'm the victim of a global Masonic network operating in Kent and Sussex, I can believe that because I can believe anything. They disappeared John Alexander Patterson, who was exposing fraud, theft and money laundering, and he went to Scotland Yard with the NHS baby organ harvesting documents. Now, you have actually heard of John Patterson, you tell me. So you're obviously having conversations with people that I don't know about without my knowledge, because the man who told me about Dan's police abusing powers video of me was that he'd been watching my videos throughout from start to present, and there are hundreds of them over the past few years, because he knew he was following John Patterson's, what was going on with John Patterson. So he then found out about the video of me that Dan made on police abusing powers, and he was the one who let me know on Facebook. He said, Dan's made a video of you. This 64-year-old security guard, and I'm sorry to say your age if you're watching me, but you've made me cross because, you know, Nikki and the security guard who let me know about the video on Facebook. I don't know this man. He values his privacy. But if you guys really are affirming me, you can't be 1 minute criticizing me and then saying, oh, that's the way they are. You know, he's not a very nice person. He's joked about killing kittens. No. Because I tell you what now, if I am going to survive this, if you're going to see strong Bryony, you're going to see, you really are going to see a very, very angry. Because I can't stand it when people say, you're a strong woman. Tina Chave did it. You're a strong woman. And she was, I'm going to help you to help others. I'm going to do this and that for you. And then, oh, I don't want to know. I'm retracting the help. And a threatening email. Don't you mention me on your channel. Who the hell do these people think they are, that they can set up these channels and networks that are supposed to help vulnerable people and then attack them when they withdraw that help? It's almost like they want to see that person scream and shout so they can go, ah. That's psychopathic. That's demented. That's not just narcissistic. No. So I just want you to know, Nikki, because I don't want you to take what I'm saying the wrong way. This is what I always say to people when someone says something and I'm not happy about it, and I think about their feelings, because I'm always thinking about other people's feelings rather than my own. So I'm not happy, no, because because you have criticised me, otherwise you wouldn't be saying, you got to stop saying, oh, something's got to give. But you got the help, didn't you? You got the help. 26 years I've been asking, 26 years. 26 years. And I've had the most horrific crimes over the past 6 years as a law-abiding woman, just vulnerable, arrested for nothing several times, while a real criminal who attacked me in my home was mugging the elderly with her mother. And she'd done it for a second time. She did it 2 years earlier on the Isle of Wight. It was in the national news. So anyway, we know all of that. I know I'm always going to be sounding like a broken record because I'm suffering from trauma. And these psychopaths from the crisis team and all that, they don't want to know. They're using Darren, anyone I have any contact with, they're using them to attack me. It's set up this way. So it's not really helping. Just with all due respect, Nikki, you're not really, and I'm trying to say this in the nicest possible way, you're not sounding that much different to the South African lady on John Wedge's thing, who said, who was all concerned for me, and then saying, that thing about, I'm concerned about you. You're saying all these weird things because you were actually saying the same thing. You say you're having a psyop, you've got a psyops, you're the victim of a global Masonic network. That would only happen to someone who's, how do you know that? How do you know that I'm not the victim of a global Masonic network? There's a lady that I watched a few years ago, and she was documenting things that were happening to her that were quite similar to mine. It was the Tavistock social engineering that I've been talking about, and I reached out to her while I was in the psychiatric unit. I think I'd just come out of the psychiatric unit and had that terrible experience when I think it was before I was arrested out of there. But she's an MK Ultra victim. Guess what? She got attacked in the comments. I wasn't too bothered when she got attacked the way I've been attacked because I reached out to her and she turned a bit funny. She was like, I can only help you if you buy one of my sessions, because she could be a grifter, but this American lady, she's brainwashed by she was in the Teal Swan cult, and then because in the UK there's a massive human trafficking thing going on, and she was in Devon, and now she's going to be at a conference this month, not too far from here. She's now going to be a speaker on her MK Ultra. I'm not messing about here. And the guy that said it, that I spoke to, but I really, only very briefly, I really wanted to speak to him, but so many people want to speak to him. He was the one who, the reason why I found out about this conference with Ray, who's dated the mother of children that I grew up with. Mark, the organizer, the reason how I found out about this, because it's a small world, was because I was watching his videos a few years ago where he was talking about MK Ultra in the 1980s pop industry, and he mentioned Adamant. And Adamant wrote to me, and it was his friend who worked across the road from our house who got him to write to me, and he's well and truly a paid up full and truly paid up member. So, you know, I don't care. I really couldn't care less about these low lives. They sound pretty much like the people I was keeping away from for my safety. So, and if Dan is laughing about killing kittens, the woman who attacked me when I was in the bath poisoned next door's dog. Scum of the earth. And you're saying that basically Dan and his minions are like that. Now, I'm being serious, Nikki, because I'm being deadly serious. If your siblings are police officers, but you're saying to me very subtly, but it wasn't nice to hear it, that I need to, what do you mean something's, because one minute you were saying to me, someone's got to come in and help you. And the next minute you're saying, oh, well, you can't be like a child going to its mother. And I thought, what does she mean by that? What does she mean? I didn't say anything at the time, but I'm like, and you're saying, what do you mean? You can't keep saying something's got to give. And I was saying, no, something has got to give. My mother's friends said to me 13 years ago when I was in supported accommodation, you can't be Superwoman. And I had to be. And I've had to be Superwoman to this day. In crumbs, I thought, you've got to go through this. You've got to actually be homeless and have these things happen to you and be struggling with your mental health. Because as Darren said, even for someone who isn't suffering with their mental health, what I'm going through would test anyone. What has been happening to me, no one would be able to cope with it. No one. So I really, really have had to go the extra mile. And then you're saying to me that if I keep going up to Beachy Head suicidal, gosh, I've got a lot of people watching me right now. I haven't had that for a long time. At one time, a lot of people watching me at one time. That hasn't happened for a long time. Which is a good thing, because I want people to hear this. But maybe you've got people to come and listen and watch me. I don't know. But I've got to make my point here, because you said something very worrying, which was, and it could be a possibility that I could end up sectioned and locked up. Because if I keep going up to Beachy Head suicidal, you said they might get fed up and say, right, we don't want to deal with. When I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute, Nikki, hang on. You've just agreed with me that if I'm on a welfare register here, right? If I'm on a welfare register here, they've got information on me. They can come here. Not one person. They're all aware of my circumstances, but not one person, even at the crisis team when I had Juliet with me, and they know she's got cancer, not one person said to me, I'm sorry to hear about your father's death. He's been dead for over a year. We'll look into it. No. All they did was sit there and say, the old woman, I hadn't met these two before. I hope you're a good friend to Juliet, because she shouldn't be in A&E in her condition. It's not good for her. And are you a good friend to her? They had absolutely no right to speak to me like that. And they've not only been speaking to me like that, they've been speaking to Darren like that. So this is what I mean. Stop using Darren as a pawn and stop using Juliet as a pawn, is what I'm saying. anyone who comes into my vicinity, stop using them as a pawn, because there are few people, if anybody, because nobody cares. Nobody cares because they're not doing anything. And the other woman just said, "You're projecting." They didn't say, "I hope Juliet is all right. I hope you're all right." My arms and hands were in pain that night, and I was on the phone to Juliet saying, "My arms and hands are in pain. She should be resting." She collapsed in public toilets. She had a hernia and she collapsed in public toilets in agony on the floor. And all the while, these people are committing crimes against me, and they're your friends, Nikki, your friends, your ex-friends. I don't care who or what. The fact is, they have been and still are committing crimes against a vulnerable woman. And they're ringing at all hours, texting me. They've stolen my number. And Dan has endangered the vulnerable someone who's extremely vulnerable, and he knows it. And Tina Chave know that. They've both threatened me. Well, Tina Chave threatened me after falsely offering me help, a lot of help, legal help. And Dan has made a video basically for all his thousands of viewers to say, "Hey, have a look at this video of her. Her mobile number is on here." No, her mobile number is not on there. She was self-funding a hotel for 9 months for her safety, which they knew. When Tina Chave falsely offered me legal help and said I shouldn't be in these places if I'm on severe disability, I had my bedroom window smashed. I'd been attacked by demented, protected criminals. I walked out of the hotel room and all I did in that video he's made of me is leave my number for an investigator for the local government and social care ombudsman. Both me and my friend Juliet's emails are discounted. I added to the 99% of bad reviews on Trustpilot of the local government and social care ombudsman. I am so wiped out. I have only a month to take it to the High Court. That's not going to happen because I can't find a legal aid firm that can help me. I've spent the last few years going through all the law firms, all the law centres, everything on my own. On my own. So you can say Darren is a mummy's boy. You can call me a mummy's girl. But the thing is, don't then say, "Well, Bryony, you're affirming me over Darren," but then you're saying to me, "You can't be a child going to its mother because I've said something's got to give." You should be agreeing with me and saying, "Yes, Bryony, something has got to give. You can get on with your life. You can get in your car and drive off." You admitted that I'm stuck here. I've got stuff in several places in this town that I can't get to because I don't drive. I'm paying storage for other people's clutter because I was made homeless from an accommodation where I spoke on behalf of other licensees who a Filipino couple who were very quickly housed, who were on steroids because of bed bugs. There was a guy who was leaving his drugs lying around on the table, who was an absolute bloody nightmare. He was here. He was kicked out of here. And they moved him on to that place that I was moved on to. They move people around the town. They human traffic people around the town. And the more vulnerable you are, the more easy you are to control. That is what they do. And what makes me angry is if you've got a connection to the police, I know you don't know me, but if you can just see boots on the ground what is happening to someone, you don't have to know someone, just raise a complaint, say this is not right. I'm aware that this is being done to this person. The accommodation before I change the subject, the accommodation I just mentioned, they changed the locks when it started to snow, and I went up to Beachy Head with a duvet in the snow. Do you hear what I'm saying, Nikki? The same police officers were always there. PC Scott Franklin Lester is known to be a bully in this town. The manager of Poundland knows he's a bully. Everyone knows he bullies the vulnerable. He threw me out of the council and said, well, I said, why don't you pick on the criminals and the drunks? Well, they need to have a place. But someone who really is vulnerable, someone who is so extremely conscientious. See, the people who are watching me are attacking me are the kind of people who are going to Dan's Police Abusing Powers channel. What, low-life criminals? Is that what you're trying to say to me, Nikki? Because seriously, you got to make your mind up here. Do you protect criminals, or are you on the side of a genuine vulnerable woman? Because it is so cowardly, it really is. You can't say, I need to stop being a child and you know, so you've got to help yourself. And no, something hasn't got to give. I'm saying something has got to give. Something's got to give. You, with all due respect, you got the help. Your niece is going into £173,000 a year priory. She's got a referral there. I've never had anything. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So you're telling me that if I keep going up to Beachy Head suicidal, they could end up locking me up. Right. Well, you can put something right for me then. Because, you know, don't sound like this South African woman who thinks tell you what, popping pills is not going to cure anyone's narcissism. I'll tell you that now. You're just feeding into $1 billion industry of dangerous pharmaceuticals. I don't need them. They tried to suggest that I needed injections for psychosis. Do I look like someone who suffers from psychosis? No, I'm telling it how it is. I'm calling a spade a spade. Dan's a Jack the lad, is he? Well, he's a psychopath. Likes murdering kittens, does he? You know, and laughing about it with his mates on his channel. Yeah, I murder kittens, I do. I also like bullying vulnerable suicidal women and getting moderators from my channel to go and harass her. And a woman from the Independent Advice Network to go and no, I would not have bared my breasts. No, I'm being serious. That was a statement because they stripped me naked. I put someone in prison and on a set for attempted rape on me. That was nothing. That was a laugh. What the police have done to me are such serious crimes, it's up to life in prison for malfeasance of office. I'm not trying to get anyone into trouble here. I'm telling it how it is. They could have helped me 6 years ago, Peter Thorley said exactly what I said, and he helps out with the homeless. He was working at Matthew 25, and he said, Bryony, it's not all about funding. They could have helped you. I said, I know. They make every excuse under the sun. And that was something that I agreed on with Andy Devine, that the austerity thing is bullshit. People are constantly making excuses not to help people, but it's like there's like a postcode lottery. It's some people have it good. Sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I'm pretty certain there's probably perhaps a little bit of, if someone's a Freemason, we'll do a deal under the table. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Of course it is. I mean, the satanic rituals and the child and baby eating stuff, well, that's just something else. That's the higher level stuff. For the people at the bottom, I don't really know what it's all about. I just want to be with my brethren in a club. A bit of back scratching. Of course it is. I know, because I had a Freemason shove his tongue in my mouth. I worked with a Freemason, don't forget. When I was a teenager, he shoved his tongue in my mouth and he said, if there's anything you want, just ask me. There you go. He told my mother. He was that confident. He was older than my father. He said to my mother in our house that girl should be impregnated and I'd like to be the one to do it. My mother told me. She said, how dare he say that in our house? And I thought, oh my gosh, I would not have wanted to be in the same room as my mother when he said that. I can tell you that now. But I was angry because how dare he say that to my mother? He could say it to me. He can say whatever filthy thing he likes to me. But to say that to my mother. But I didn't realise he'd said it. But I think I didn't know what a Freemason was really all about. But I was a teenager at the time. And I've just had to learn as I go along. And obviously the internet is telling me a lot and life experiences, but this is insanity. You don't just get over something like this especially when you're not well. Anyway, I hope I've made my point, because I'm really being deadly. I wanted this to be a short video, but I'm obviously, I'm just angry and not well, but I don't want you to take what I'm saying out of context. And I don't want you to think I'm sort of on the attack here. I don't always say how I feel at the time, and sometimes it takes a while to process what someone has said. So, but yeah, I'm not tolerating it, because the real Bryony doesn't tolerate this stuff. And that's actually a big part of what's causing me anxiety, because I don't like to lie down and take something and say, yeah, I'll let it go. No. So those videos, if I do end up sectioned or whatever, I would hope, Nikki, that if you're a genuine person, because I don't know you, I don't know what you look like. I mean, obviously I've seen you comment, obviously, and I've gone onto your thing, but I don't know what you look like or anything like that. I don't know you. You only know me from watching me. And that 7-hour, 13-hour conversation. But I would like to hope that you would say something on my behalf, because I don't stand for this. And I don't understand why, if you're not, 1 minute you're saying, why is no one helping you? And at the same time, you're saying, you can't, twice you said to me, you can't be a child. I can't remember your exact words. You can't be a child going to its mother. And because I said something's got to give, and you said, no, it hasn't. You've got to pull yourself together and pull yourself out of this. I'm just, something's got to give. I feel like screaming it out, because I've done all the hard work. I have gone way beyond what I ever should have had to do to try and get basic help. I've had crimes committed against me. I've had council corruption. Now, I'm aware that on YouTube, there are people, communities of truthers, who are saying this and saying that, and saying this and saying that. That's why the Andy Divine community might mingle with the police abusing powers community, because people are taking bits of things. And if I've put everything on the line, I would not have exposed my bare top half. I wouldn't be sitting in a dressing gown. I wouldn't be doing this in a million years. Not in a million years would I be seen dead like this. I never wanted a YouTube channel. The police stripped me naked. They took my clothes. They tried to put me in prison over a welfare check on Beachy Head. How'd you come back from that? You know, a basic level. How'd you come back from this when you've got no one backing you up? There's no one in your corner. You've got people around you. You've got family, Nikki. You can't say to me, when you don't even know me and I'm telling you what has happened to me, there's too much of that. There's too much of this. You've got to sort yourself out business. So at a basic level, at the very least, you should be telling your friends, your siblings who are police officers. You tell, this Dan has made a video of her. She's being cyberbullied. She's got phone numbers ringing her at all hours. And she's got 101 call handlers hanging up on her illegally, because the professional standards department wrote to her apologizing for doing this. It's very easy for you to go out there and get on with a normal life, because I never got the support I needed. And yes, I've admitted I'm in this endless, this is just an endless, like black hole that I'm in. So I forgot to say, I'm paying storage for other people's hoarding and clutter and unsanitary waste that I can't get to because I don't drive. It's in Hailsham. The council kept making me homeless. I've got stuff with several people in different places, and that's something else I've got to make another YouTube video about. I was going to do that last night, but then you contacted me. So there we go. Yeah.